Once again, so sorry. It's been
many months. When was the wedding that we wanted to have Misty ready for?
June.
Spoiler alert, she wasn't ready. So a few days before the MR2 was due, I discovered the clutch slaves didn't need to be rebuilt, and instead of doing it, I rage quit, shut the garage, and didn't look at the car for about 3 months. And that's where we are now. But before we get on to the video, we have a message for our Patriners.
Everyone else, just turn away for 2 seconds.
Just kind of put your things in your ears and go la 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 until we signal to stop. Do you want to go?
Yeah. We feel bad about taking your money, so we will be cancelling the Patriners.
Yes, we super appreciate everything you've done so far and like literally bought us a gearbox and along with other things, but going forward we're not going to get many videos out, and we can't in good faith keep taking money every month when we're not making at least 1 video a month, which we probably won't be. Thank you for all the support so far and for buying us car parts and an entire gearbox.
It's been very helpful, but give it to someone else that deserves it.
Yes, I personally recommend Bad Obsession Motorsport, who does Project Binky, because they are the best thing on YouTube by far. Or You Suck at Cooking. I don't know if he has a Patriner, but if he does, support him. We should support him if he has one. Let's look into that. Mental note. It's getting to the point where the engine should go in soon. I've got all the vacuum lines done and everything else I think connected on the engine that needs to be now. So next up, joining it to the new gearbox. So I've got the engine very precariously balanced on the floor so I can put the rear main seal in. And like with the gearbox seals, I'm using plumbing supplies to tap it in. And there's the rear main seal installed. One more thing to check off our list. And now it's finally time to install our resurfaced flywheel, starting with cleaning the threads and all the bolts, adding some thread locker, and then torquing them down following the procedure from the workshop manual. Next up came installing the clutch. I picked up a cheap universal clutch alignment tool to try and get it aligned, but every time it seemed to be just out of whack. I even watched a video made by the manufacturers of the tool to make sure I was using it right, but to no avail, it just didn't seem to work. In the end, I discovered that a 17mm socket was the perfect match for the input bearing, and I could wrap some tape around it to match up with the splines on the clutch disc. Using this, I was finally able to get the clutch disc aligned perfectly, ready to accept the gearbox. But before I could install the gearbox, I first needed to install its release fork and bearing. Initially, I couldn't seem to get this right until I discovered it works a lot better if you follow the instructions and actually clip the bearing onto the release fork first. But hey, I've never done this before. Finally, time to install the gearbox. I found the easiest, although possibly least safe way of doing this was to raise the gearbox up with the engine crane and then try and push it onto the engine. Of course, this does run the risk of the engine falling over, which it nearly did here. Here's where I am. Somehow I seem to be missing some of the bolts that secure the transmission to the engine block, which is a little concerning. I've been using these bolts that I've been using to hold it to the engine stand just to get it aligned. Clutch seems to be aligned, it's going in, but I've only got that bolt there and a bolt around the back to draw it in. So I've got one of these long bolts and just put a socket over it, just so I can at least get the transmission in place, and that does seem to be working with minimal force. And then tonight I'll order some of the proper bolts and replace them later on. So I've got some new bolts in the post today, as well as some new shoelaces, but that's not really relevant. Hopefully I measured right and they will fit and replace these janky things I rigged up here. So I did a bad and didn't even have the common decency to film it. I noticed this bolt was sticking out, so tried to tighten it up and it snapped. So now I'm going to try and drill out the stud, but I can't get my drill in, so I've had to get a 90-degree drill adapter, and oh, I hope this works. So my original plan didn't work, as when I was trying to drill it out, the drill bit didn't go in centred, and so I wasn't able to pull the old stud out. So what I did was I drilled a smaller hole, tapped it to M4, and I put a smaller bolt in. I have no idea whether that will withstand the torque of this thing trying to twist. It feels pretty solid now, but time will tell. But it's best I can do at this point. See how it goes. So just a couple more little things and the engine will be ready to go back in the car. First of which is reattaching these mounts that I've cleaned up and painted. I decided to paint these with a brush, and you don't get as nice a finish, but actually it's so much easier and quicker than using a spray can. For things like mounts, definitely the way to go. It is finally time. I'm going to attempt to get the engine in the car. Biggest concern is that I'm not going to have the headroom to lift the car high enough. I remember when we got the engine out, I need to get it on axle stands with some wood on top of the axle stands as well, just to give it enough clearance. I think I can do it, just about. We'll soon find out. So, finally got it high enough by my measurements. So annoyingly, top of the intake doesn't quite clear this, but I'm going to see if I can sneak the intake plenum, I think that's what it is, through this exhaust hole. Haha! And there we have, engine under the car. I'd love to drop the car down on the engine, but it's pretty late and I'm pretty tired. I don't want to make any stupid mistakes, so I think I'll leave that for tomorrow. Everything appears to be where I left it, which is good news. So I think everything's in a good enough position to start lowering the car. I'll probably have to adjust things as it goes down, but let's see how it goes. Now I've got the car lowered onto jack stands. Engine is clear of everything, it's gone in quite nicely. So next is lift the engine up and bolt it in. So I didn't film it just because it was too awkward to really see in here, but I've got the left and right engine mounts in. I think now the engine should be able to hold its own weight. Yep, that looks good. And it was at this point I discovered the leaky clutch slave cylinder and rage quit.
You have been working on stuff today?
I have, yeah, for the first time in a long time. I got the slave cylinder out and rebuilt it, and it's ready to go back in and probably not work, but we'll find out eventually.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Probably in about a year.
Yeah, at this rate. Car might eventually run again. I really want it to, I miss it.
Yeah.
For next summer, that's my new goal. That's a lofty goal, because it's a good summer car.
Clearly you can't stick to goals, so let's just not have one.
That's probably better. I'm very busy and I got a new job that makes me busier.
Yeah, yeah.
So
He's a whore.
I am, literally. That's my new job. That's why I have the beard. To filter the semen. I'm not trying to keep that in, that's horrible.
That has to be an outtake.
I think maybe we should call it there.
Yeah. Thank you again.
Patrina's name's here for the last time.
Ever.
Thank you so much. And goodbye.
Goodbye. Forever. My tea's cold.
Yeah, I did worry that the kettle had been bought a little bit long.
Okay.
My bad, I'm very sorry. Would you like mine?
It's going to be the same water.
Yeah.